love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah, man. I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I am your host, David L. Rhodes. This is the Indy Report. I hope everybody is having an outstanding Wednesday and an outstanding week so far. Brandon King, Tariq Wilson, and Jeffrey Johnson is on assignment, so I'm going to probably be going solo today. But this episode, welcome to episode 670 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU diaspora, all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture and HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU's athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, David L. Rhodes. Like I said, my partners in crime from the HU Pirate Ship, Jeffrey Johnson and Tariq Wilson, and Brandon King from Tennessee State, are on assignment. We are filming live from our home studios and sending a signal live to our KCOH 12:30 a.m. studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer Ralph Cooper in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. Now, I know there's been a lot of news that's been going on and things of that sort. I'll probably have my thoughts on that and my opinions on that. However, there's a lot of other things going on as well. The track and field championships are live right now. It just started. I'm watching that on the side. I'll give you guys an update. A&T is part of the 4x100 relay, which is the first event. So the show just started. The coverage just started on ESPN. So I'm gonna probably be glancing my eyes over there and watching, see what happens. I believe A&T's in the first heat. So I will give you guys an update to tell you guys how they did. This is the semifinals of the 4x100 relay. So with regards to that, they got to be in the top two or the top three times after the top two from each heat. So the goal is for them to get in the top two and have a very fast time, preferably, just in case they end up placing third, because they kind of did something similar. I guess we can start with this. Basically, in a nutshell, I guess the athletic director had a couple charges about regarding fraud and money allegedly that was spent using government funds, not government funds, but like the government charge card, the state charge card. I'm trying to find the article so I'm not over here bumbling and stumbling, so to speak. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah. For alleged fraud, like a Leon County Sheriff's Office spokesperson told the station that Angela Suggs, the AD for FAMU, faces warrants for alleged fraud and larceny following the Florida Department of Law Enforcement investigations. Mrs. Suggs allegedly misused her Florida Sports Foundation issued credit card to make wire transfers and cash withdrawals on personal purchases totaling more than $24,000. Now, one thing I will say is all alleged. And she's innocent until proven guilty from that regard. This happened before she got the job at FAMU, but we see how articles are written. At one point, it was in one of the top stories on ESPN.com. But I did read that FAMU did place her on administrative leave, probably until they get this stuff situated, and then they're probably going to make a decision on how they're going to handle it. And it looks like the first heat is about to start for A&T. They're in the same heat with Tennessee, USC. Oh, that's gonna be great. Tennessee, former coach. That's gonna be fascinating to see how that goes. So if I pause, I apologize with regards to that. But yeah, Florida State's in this one. Southern California is in this one. UAPB is as well. So we got, of course, they put both HBCUs in the first heat. So hopefully UAPB and A&T get 1-2. UAPB's 4x100 team is really good. Really good. They're excellent. I wouldn't be shocked if they end up making the heat, getting in the top 2 as well. So we shall see how it goes. The heat's about to start. So if I get intense while watching, I apologize in advance. I would post it, but I don't want anybody to get a YouTube hit. But overall, I mean, it's going to be more of a wait and see approach. I will say that the timing is not optimal, particularly for FAMU when everything's going on with the president elect and things of that sort, and everything, and all the discussion points with regards to that. So it's not good timing for FAMU with the situation with the AD. Tennessee looks like they won it. Yeah, Tennessee won the heat. All right. I didn't check to see where A&T and Alabama State placed. 4x400 is their bread and butter more than the 4x1, but Dwayne Walsh, former A&T track coach, the squad in Tennessee, did what they had to do. So shout out to him. That was a rough handoff. It still worked out though. UAPB placed 3rd. A&T placed 7th. So I ended up placing last in the heat. Very slow time for the A&T. But UAPB 39-27 might be enough for them to qualify. I know their 4x100 is way better than A&T's. I've always felt that way. They got stubs. They got a pretty good 4x1. So shout out to UAPB. But anyway, let me see. Put that on mute. Some other news of the day that happened that I want to give my thoughts on. The FAMU situation is it's just terrible. Just to close this out, the FAMU situation is terrible timing. When everything's going on with the president, gonna like the president elect, once she gets elected, she might make the unfortunate decision to move on because of the potential situation there, which would be unfortunate because I think AD Suggs was doing a pretty good job with FAMU while she was there. She kind of really didn't have an opportunity to do get her feet wet and continue on. So I'm hoping that things can get resolved and maybe she can stay and get through this. And I think she will. So that's that. Shout out to Norfolk State. Norfolk State, they announced the home and home series with Duke University. So that's pretty cool. It wouldn't be the first time that an HBCU got to host an ACC team or a P4 team, particularly on the women's program. I know A&T's done it a few times already. They hosted Cincinnati one year and they hosted UNC last year. So I think this is great. Duke has a phenomenal women's basketball program. So it'll be good to see how this goes. So I'm looking forward to see how they're going to go to Duke first on November 12th. And then I don't think they've announced a date for when they have to come back to Norfolk State. What's going on, Mr. King? You gonna be able to make it on, buddy? We'll see. And the other news of the day that was somewhat unfortunate is Fisk is discontinuing their gymnastics team, which is that was a bummer when I heard about that. I feel like I think gymnastics is a growing sport. It's something that we don't have too much of, but I know it always comes down to dollars and cents and having the ability to fund these programs. And it's so now the last one that's left for HBCUs is Wilberforce, because Talladega announced theirs as well not too long ago. And Morgan Price, she won a national championship at Fisk, but now she's transferred to the University of Arkansas for her final year. So I mean, it's crushing. I remember when A&T had to dissolve their swim team, and I was super disappointed. And right now we only have one HBCU that has a swim team. All right. I'm gonna hold you to that, sir. I'm gonna try to hold off until then. So we're gonna see how that goes. Hopefully somebody else is willing to put their name in a hat. What I hope for is that maybe like a Division I HBCU does it. Because I think the odds of them being able to keep it and maintain it for a longer period of time would be a little bit higher. Like somebody like a Howard or maybe an A&T or even Norfolk or Hampton. So I hope we get to that point, because I think we had a lot of buzz and we had a lot of publicity when this was going. So it was just so unfortunate that Talladega and Fisk had to discontinue it. But I'll give Fisk some props because they're not going to discontinue it until after this upcoming season. So it's going to be so we're going to get one more year of it at least. But it's just so disappointing. But with that, I think I'm going to take the first break. When we return, I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on the NCAA settlement. The settlement is a fascinating thing. This was supposed to happen eons ago, a few months back. But it took a while in the courts, and now we're here, and now we have a settlement, and I have my perspective on how this could potentially impact HBCUs and how we should approach it. So we will get into that right after the first break.
There's a shot. To right. It could be. Right field. Grand slam. What a shot. That's how you get hot, young fella.
Thank you, guys, for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do, and all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
This is Ryan Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Lab. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Lab, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Football fans, HBCU football is back in the ATL with the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff. Representing the MEAC, North Carolina Central, and representing the SWAC, Southern Eagles, Jaguars, the Marching Sound Machine, the Human Jukebox. The kickoff trophy is up for grabs, and bragging rights are on the line. The rivalry is real. Bring the family and join us pre-game for the fun-filled Coca-Cola fan experience, including band jamborees, food, activations, and fellowship. For tickets and information, visit MEACSWACChallenge.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Welcome back to episode 670 of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. So we have a settlement. And one beautiful thing about the settlement is that they did decide to grandfather in the players that were already on the roster, so they didn't have to. So the teams don't necessarily have to cut immediately. And what I've also, I guess, what just happened recently as well to update things is that the deadline to decide whether to opt in or opt out originally was June 15th, and they moved it to June 30th. And I've already been reading things that it looks like there's some schools that have considered opting in, excuse me, that was considering and opting out of it is reconsidering and possibly going to opt into the settlement. But now that just basically means that schools can directly compensate their athletes. The concept of amateurism I've always thought was kind of like, as soon as the transfer portal showed up, I thought, and NIL, I thought that was gone. Like, I think that, we're turning into like, it's close to professional at this point. If not, if you want to go in and call it professional, but now schools can directly pay these players. The judge, Claudia Wilkin, gave the green light, and it resolves 3 federal antitrust lawsuits alleging that the NCAA unlawfully restricted student athletes' ability to earn money. And they're going to start issuing payments to athletes on July 1st. The cap is going to start at $20.5 million. So for the sake of clarity, so folks can understand, if you make the decision to opt into it, you don't have to really pay. You don't have to pay. You can opt in and not do revenue sharing. You can just lay it at zero. And I think, and one of the things about opting in is the ability to give out 105 scholarships, because there's roster limits now. So, and every person that makes the roster can get a scholarship, particularly for football. I'm talking about football, but just for the sake of clarity. The settlement gives schools the power to create new rules designed to limit the influence of boosters and collectives. Starting this summer, any endorsement deal between a booster and an athlete will be vetted to ensure it is for a valid business purpose rather than a recruiting incentive. The agreement will resonate in nearly every one of the NCAA's 1,100 member schools, boasting nearly 500,000 athletes. NCAA President Charlie Baker said the deal opens a pathway to begin stabilizing college sports. The following schools have already decided they were going to opt into the following HBCUs have already decided they're going to opt into the NCAA settlement, and that's right now currently from what we've heard officially from those institutions via conference or via that institution themselves: Morgan State, University of Maryland Eastern Shore, North Carolina A&T, and Hampton. I know in the past there's been discussions. I know Dr. Cavil said in the past that the SWAC plans on opting in. All them teams depend on opting in. They haven't. I don't think they've officially said that yet. And then in the MEAC, I think they're, as of right now, looks like the schools are going to make their own decisions. I mean, based on how some of the institutions are operating, like a Howard and a Norfolk, I anticipate them opting in. Delaware State, I anticipate them opting in. But we have seen situations where there are some schools that are not going to, like a North Dakota State right now is leaning towards opting out, but they're reconsidering now since they did the grandfathering in of the previous players. So they're reconsidering. But there's schools like a William and Mary that wants to wait a year. I think that was a factor in them making a decision to go to the Patriot League. Besides the rivalry aspect of it all with Richmond going there. But I think there's going to be a lot of schools that's going to make a decision and try to decide what's best for them. Now, from an HBCU standpoint, you got to pay. The antitrust settlement is valued at over $2.8 billion, right? So that means it's going to be split among the conferences, and everybody has their cut. And I'll give a quick plug. A few months ago at a A&T Athletics Town Hall, the AD, Dr. Earl Hilton, he pretty much went over this and explained like the payments, but it looks like it's going to be $300,000 per school, based on the math, at least from a CAA perspective. While schools in the power conferences, that's the SEC, the Big 10, the Big 12, the Pac-12, and the ACC, they're automatically bound by the terms of the settlement. Schools outside of those conferences has the choice to opt in or opt out of the settlement. Schools that opt out will not be able to directly pay players through revenue sharing. But like I said, if you opt in and you don't want to do revenue, you don't have to do any revenue sharing. Revenue sharing can be zero. But you have the option to. The decision to opt into the settlement allows for financial support and revenue sharing to give student athletes the opportunity to earn income while notching the time, talent, and energy your student athletes bring to UMES. That's what the Vice President of Athletics and Recreation, Tara Owens, said in a statement from Maryland Eastern Shore. We continue to explore avenues to establish and maintain competitive teams while providing an optimal collegiate experience for our student athletes. And Owens said that the decision will not increase the financial investment the university makes on athletics. Now, that tells me that either the alumni base is going to get involved and start giving from that aspect, from a collective perspective, the pay to players perspective, or they've pretty much made the decision that they're going to have that revenue sharing around zero. So we'll see. Morgan State is expected to contribute over $230,000 to the settlement fund and reduce football roster size to add Olympic sports to remain in compliance with Title IX. So we'll it's supposed to make an equitable model for college athletics, but it's going to be fascinating to see how our HBCU conferences and our 3 independent institutions go through this. Because I think everybody's kind of trying to make the decision on what's best. Like, you kind of want to make it even playing field from a competitive standpoint. Maybe conferences will decide this is what the cap's going to be, or something to that effect, if that's even legal or not. But I know that Commissioner Charles McClellan said it's going to create some challenging times from that standpoint. It's going to impact the finance. Dr. McClellan pretty much said that the House Senate is going to impact the finances of every SWAC institution. SWAC conference contribution to that settlement is $30 million. There's going to be some challenging times from a financial standpoint. To counteract that, McClellan said that the resources are being developed to help each school compete in this new era of college athletics. We're going to develop a best practice document that we'll give to all presidents and chancellors as a guide. We are in a good spot from a revenue standpoint. We're going to be just fine, but it'll take some additional effort. We will need NIL dollars on the inside, and we'll work with you to help develop that. We're going to continue to stay on top. That's what Dr. McClellan said about with regards to the settlement. So for me, man, like from A&T's perspective, we've already have an NIL collective in place, and it has helped us keep some players. But it does come to a point where when you're trying to compete with schools and institutions that are giving 6-figure deals, you're gonna have to start making a decision on what you want from that standpoint. When you take into account the number of players that go in and out of the portal and how many players are currently in the portal now, and not just in one sport but in all sports, it's gonna be fascinating to see how our institutions handle it. What's going on, Lennon? Because for me, I mean, we've already been told that the women's basketball NIL at A&T is going to be among the highest, within not just within the CAA, but across the college basketball landscape. So we'll see how that goes from that standpoint. But I know that women's basketball is one of the big sports that we have. I anticipate our track team is probably going to get a decent chunk of NIL. Of course, men's basketball and football is going to get NIL as well. But I think we want to win championships. So to win championships, we know that we're going to have some level of NIL budget. Are we going to be able to win championships from, at the national level? I think we might have some chances in places like track and bowling. But I think for like basketball, men's basketball is going to be difficult. Women's basketball is going to be difficult. Football, I mean, FCS national championship, we might have a chance to compete in that field, but we'll see. And Lennon, I'm not posting it, but you a fool, man. Shout out to KRS-One though. But however, I just think that this is the moment in time where HBCUs, the leadership, the chancellors, the presidents, and athletic directors got to start making these tough decisions. And they're going to be, and some decisions are not going to be glorious from that standpoint. So I just think now we're at the point where HBCUs is going to have to make some very tough decisions from a financial standpoint. because I will say this, and this is just my thoughts on it. I'm not interested in athletic fees being utilized to pay the players. Like, I think the students deserve more than that. So I'm a firm believer that corporate sponsorships and alumni has to foot this bill if we're going to be paying players. I know a lot of folks might necessarily agree, but that's just how I feel about the situation. I think corporate sponsorships and alumni giving is going to have to, through athletics, is going to have to foot this bill. I don't think that it's fair to the general student base that they have to that their athletic fees goes up to pay other students. I just, but that being said, I just hope that I'm curious about this whole NIL clearinghouse. I guess there's an NIL clearinghouse that's going to be that run by Deloitte. There's an NIL clearinghouse that's going to be ran by them. What's going on, Chuck? And that clearinghouse validates the deals that they're getting from that standpoint before they get it. So that's another middleman that's involved. Hopefully that'll protect the players. But the only thing I can recommend to players that are going with these NIL deals is make sure you have good representation for you in that regard. What's going on, Adam? I don't need to hear about, at least Seattle's sunny, because every single time I go to Seattle, it rains. I've been there a few times and it rains. So if it's sunny, that's good. But I just think we're in a new era, and I think HBCUs got to decide what they want. Some institutions might decide to go down to Division II. I mean, we're already seeing on the FCS side of the fence some schools switching conferences because about reducing the costs. So if we have to make tough decisions, but but we can't do it at the expense of our mission and our purpose from that standpoint too. So there's going to be a delicate balance when it comes to how we handle NIL from this point forward, now that we know we can pay the players. And I know folks are focused on D1, but we need to start thinking about Division II. We need to start thinking about NAIA as well, because some of these students are going to start asking for money there too. Okay, like I think I know that's going to be that's a harsh reality for a lot of folks, but I think some of the students are going to ask for funding there as well. But we shall see how this goes. Like, this is going to be a fascinating ride. So the payments start July 1st. So it's going to be in a couple weeks. So it's going to be fascinating to see how that goes. It's going to be interesting to see how this pans out. We're going to get a lot of reports of people not getting their money and things of that sort. But I just think us as HBCUs just got to make the right decisions from that standpoint. See, man, Lennon is diabolical with it. Lynn is super diabolical with it. All right. So we haven't seen any more. And just an FYI, like right now they're doing the men's 1500 and we're at Heat 2. We haven't had any more HBCUs that popped up yet. So I'm keeping track of it. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out one more thing. All right. So I'm going to take the last break. I'm hoping that Brandon King comes. If he doesn't, then I'm going to this is going to be a much shorter show than before. Because like the big thing for me is the track championships and things of that sort. Maybe we could have some discussion points about what's going on at FAMU, because I want to talk about the other side of it. I know the reports about AD Suggs was one thing, but I want to talk about the other end of that spectrum. So we'll do that after the break. So we will be right back after this break.
I'm returning to Clinton Parish, and Tampa's my community. I grew up here, went to school here, and my wife and I make our home here. What makes Tampa special are its people. So when I represent someone injured in my community, it's personal. Call my office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton Parish, we take the pain out of being heard.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Sugar Chateau Desserts is a specialty bakery located in the Charlotte, North Carolina metro area. We will create delicious and one-of-a-kind treats for any occasion. Sugar Chateau is currently shipping cakes in a jar, offering a variety of different flavors in a single-serve container that can help you celebrate in accordance with social distancing. Place your orders today by calling 803-526-7895 or visiting sugarchateaudesserts.com.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Attention football fans. The Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge kickoff is back in Atlanta on August 23rd. Representing the MEAC, North Carolina Central, and representing the SWAC Southern. Join us at Center Park Stadium for a full day of tailgating, football, and bands. For more information and tickets, visit MEACSWACChallenge.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
Welcome back to Dr. Cavil's Inside HBCU Sports Lab. This is the Indy Report. So I know it's been a few weeks since I've been on the show, and a lot of things have changed since it happened. Chuck, man, the A&T and UAPB were in the first heat of the 4x100. UAPB placed third in that heat. A&T placed seventh, and I don't believe neither one qualified. Well, I know A&T didn't qualify, but I don't think I have to double check, but I don't believe UAPB's time qualified to get in because it's the top two teams of top two of each heat. There are three heats, and then the next three times after that. So I don't think UAPB's time was fast enough. I mean, they had a lot of folks running in the 38.5. There was one that was a 37. So yeah, they were flying. A&T didn't have their best day in the office, but UAPB looked really good. I'm still watching right now just to see how things are going. A&T's got the most players out of any HBCU. They got two relay teams. They had a few hurdlers. The hurdlers is where I think we got a legitimate shot, particularly in the 400 meter. We got the twins, so I think we got a legitimate shot to actually do some legitimate damage there. We had a pretty one of the twins broke the school record for hurdles during the CAA championships. So we got a legit shot to put in some work on the hurdling side. So I'm hoping one of the hurdlers should be able to advance, maybe both, but we'll see. Same goes for 110. We got a shot, but we'll see. 4x400, we might have a chance to get to the finals. So it'll be fascinating to see how that goes today. A lot of those races are happening today, though. A lot of them are semifinals today. We have two young ladies who are who got in on the as jumpers, and it's the first time in the history. And we have Brandon King in the building. I think we have Brandon King in the building. He's trying to get in here. I don't want to bring him in. Let's see. Is it safe? Brandon, you good, man?
Yeah.
All right. How's things, sir?
Pretty good. Been on the road all day. So we just got to our destination, just pulling up, getting checked in. But I want to be a man of my word.
And I'm thankful. So what are your thoughts, since we're back on this, because I don't want to get into what are your thoughts of the settlement, man?
Well, I kind of look at it like this. I think to be somewhat brief, I think if we're looking at it specifically from an HBCU standpoint, I think this is going to be the time that athletic administration and combined with over university administrations, your presidents, your chancellors, are going to have to get in lockstep and decide one, how serious they want to be about athletics, and then they're going to have to be very creative and innovative, and really have their ear to what's going on in terms of how they're going to generate the revenue and the resources that they're going to need to compete. So from that standpoint, I think it's really they're really going to have to earn their money from that standpoint. And then, like you touched on earlier, there's going to be some other schools that are going to have to decide if their current division conference is truly where they want to be, or where they fiscally can be. I mean, we look at, and I'll land my plane here, but you look at like in the SWAC, the Mississippi Valley. They already have the smallest athletic budget in the conference, and they're struggling now. Can I go outside? Before, not yet. So do they look at dropping down to a Division 2? Does somebody send out some smoke signals, maybe to an SIAC, and be like, "Hey, you have room for us"? So, in essence, it's going to be um, whoever can really address this navigating landscape and decide what's going to be the best for them going forward.
Yeah, it's interesting, Brandon, because I could name some schools that probably should really consider it. I posted on Twitter that I think only 6 schools are ready, and I think folks was like, "Which 6 schools?" And I'm like, "I ain't doing that, guys." Yeah, y'all ain't gonna trap me today.
Get me in trouble.
Ain't getting me in trouble today. But like, I just feel like because I asked the question after the settlement, are you ready? I was like, I think only 6 of us are ready. But I think most of us are gonna give it a go. And I have no problem with us giving it a go as long as you don't impact the students.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. Like I have zero issue if you want to give it a go and see if you can navigate it. But as long as you don't impact the students, man. Because I think that the student experience is something that isn't discussed enough. And for me, that's the important thing. The student, not only the student athletes, but the students. So I feel like if we're gonna I think I agree with you in regards to Valley, and I know folks don't want to hear this, but Alcorn State's not too far away. I know folks don't want to hear that, and Coppin, same thing. So it's just that's why I thought it was interesting when Maryland Eastern Shore announced that they were opting in because their budget isn't that high either. So, but it sounds like they're going to opt in. However, they're going to make sure that they're probably not going to do any revenue sharing. And I don't think A&T is probably going to do revenue sharing. I think they're going to probably try to get most of their money from alumni giving and corporate sponsorships. That's the way it looks like we're leaning right now. So, but we got goals in place. We got metrics we want to hit to be able to take care of multiple institutions, multiple sports. Because we don't want it to just be football. We want to be football, basketball, women's basketball, track. We want to kind of get the gauntlet. Like I track teams like in here in the national championship this week, at the championships this week. So I think they want to keep that rolling, and they know they're going to have to invest to do that. So, but I do think that there's going to be some tough decisions about to come down the pipe for a lot of us. But we shall see how it goes. I think, but I anticipate everybody's going to try to give this one a go. So, did I lose Brandon?
Okay.
Oh, you got. I heard the chillings, so I know you with the chillings.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Oh, let's get things first. So, no, you bring up some very interesting points.
Oh, I could barely hear you. You're very faint. You got to get the mic a little closer, buddy.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So, how our respective institutions deal with this. It's going to be a very interesting time, unprecedented time, in not only HBCU athletics, but college athletics as a whole.
Yeah, it's. I'm I'm always concerned about how we're going to navigate this, and I'm curious to see how the conference is going to manage it. I see how the CAA is handling it, and I think that could have helped. That potentially might have ran off some schools because they attempted to mandate everybody opting into it, and they've lost a couple institutions because of it. I mean, William and Mary did not want to opt in yet, and they made that clear. But they haven't left the conference yet. But then you have some conferences like the SoCon who pretty much said your institution can do what they want from a decision making standpoint. So there's that. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. I just think we're gonna have more conference shuffling, and since we're talking about conference shuffling, I've been seeing the streets regarding everything that's going on with the CAA, and I will say this, and I'm going to be clear when I say it, and I can't speak for Jeff and Tariq, but they're not here. But even with all the deflections with the CAA, they still have 12 football programs. We can talk about the quality of football programs. That's a whole different discussion point. But they still have 12 football programs, and actually they still got some pretty good teams in that conference. The co-champion is still there. Like Rhode Island is still in that conference. Like New Hampshire is in that conference. There's some pretty good teams still in that conference, even after 2026. So we'll see how that, even starting in 2026. So we'll see how it goes. But I just think the shuffle is not going to be over. But I think like the CAs, they're fine. And A&T made the decision to go there. It wasn't just about football. Football's separate for a reason. A&T's not going to the MEAC, man. I think I have a scenario in my head where I could see A&T returning. But that scenario requires all the northern schools deciding to create their own separate conference. And yeah, they would have to the Rhode Island, Stony Brook, all the northern schools would create their own conference. And then that would leave them down to probably like 6 teams left. And then I could see a scenario where they make the decision to make a move. But even then, I think they'll probably opt to go football only. Because the CAA, as a full-time membership standpoint, they still have 13 teams. They just recently announced they're going to go divisional in softball, baseball, and volleyball. So that's going to reduce costs. Like I looked at the schedule for the A&T volleyball. They only got to travel to DC once. And DC once, New York once, and all the other games are either in North Carolina and South Carolina, guys. Like, you can't beat that from a scheduling standpoint.
At all.
No, you can't beat that. So when you have schedules like that, that's kind of hard to compete with. I'm sorry. You're right, ODB. 2 whole divisions left. There's 12 teams left. They could do theoretically. They could do divisions if they wanted to. They could do divisions. They can have 2 divisions, 6 teams each, 5 games played in division, and then you do 3. You could do an 8-game division, 8-game conference schedule with 2 divisions if they wanted to. So we'll see how they make the decision to do that in 2026 because they don't really have to worry about it until then. I mean, they're only losing Richmond and Delaware this year. Then next year they'll lose Villanova and William and Mary. So we'll see how they do it. All right, what else you got on your mind, man? How much do you want to talk about FAMU?
We can dive back into it briefly because I know you kind of already touched on it. You said some of the things that I would say. I know the FBLE released the probable cause affidavit, and they kind of break down the instances of the.
Hey, Brandon? Can you make your mic a little bit closer? I could barely hear you, bro.
Can you hear me now?
Is it something blocking the mic, or?
Hold on.
Or you might be far away. You were loud when you first came on. That's why I'm like, gotta.
Oh, is that better?
That's better. Yeah, that's better.
Okay. No, I was talking. They released that affidavit, and it goes through everything. But I don't. I don't necessarily fall into the fire thing already, camp. I think you have to let that legal process adjudicate itself out, and then depending on how that does, then you can kind of go from there. But I think that she was an excellent hire at the time, and you have to let it play out, and then you can kind of go from there. But it's not the best look, but you don't have to make any moves just yet. That's kind of
Yeah,
all I had on it.
yeah, I agree with you. I don't think they need to make a move yet, only because I do agree that it was. I thought that was a home. I thought it was a home run hire. Like I have my thoughts about the path of getting to said home run hire, but I still thought it was a home run hire. And I would wait it out and see. But I think my biggest concern right now is that with the new president walking down the street and coming in, will that new president stick around? Will that new president be willing to wait? That's my biggest concern right now. So we shall see. But do you have anything else for the show before we adjourn? Brandon, you heard the kids in there, man. Brandon's super busy, so I appreciate him hopping on. You got anything else, Brandon, before we close out? Okay. I don't know if he's talking or not, but I can't hear him. No, he's not talking. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and close out the show. But before I close the show, I want to give a shout out to my daughter, Devonna. She just graduated from high school on Friday. Really great occasion. Yeah, he's gone. Really great occasion. Really great event. Getting out of high school is an accomplishment. We got to go to orientation next week for college, so we're gonna see how that goes. Hopefully, she gets herself in where she fits in, so to speak. He's back. Brandon, you got anything else, buddy? Oh, look at you.
No, that's it. You covered everything.
Yeah, you covered everything. Yeah, I was just giving a shout out to my daughter. She graduated this week, last weekend. So, and now I gotta send all my money to Hofstra.
That you do.
Yeah, I gotta send all that money over there. But either way, we had a pretty good time. I got my mother flew in, which was a miracle in itself, and things of that sort. So it was a pretty good weekend. She's starting to get some more scholarships now. So now they're starting to announce who's getting this money. So she's starting to get some scholarships too. So that's great. But all right, let me go ahead and close out the show. Let's see. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I'm David L. Rhodes. Shout out to the Dean of HBCU Sports, Dr. J. Kenyatta Cavil, coming from Inside the Lab. With Brandon King and Tariq Wilson and Jeffrey Johnson, who are both on assignment. We look forward to next week as we discuss the news inside the lab. Make sure you go to sneakershop.talk.com and check out the stuff that I'm echoing now. That Brandon's got going. And make sure you go to I'm echoing bad. Make sure you can follow me on Twitter at ChampD1012. That might be me. That might be me, Brandon. Follow Dr. Kenyatta on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can go to Inside HBCU Sports Lab on Facebook or Inside HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. Dream big and continue to move forward. We'll talk to you soon. Brandon. I think he said course. Lecture dismissed. You guys have a good week.